Howard Cross has quickly become one of the most intriguing names to watch as the NFL offseason continues to unfold, and growing whispers around the league suggest that the Detroit Lions might be positioning themselves to make a move for the standout defensive tackle from Notre Dame. While no official confirmations have surfaced yet, multiple sources close to league insiders have hinted that preliminary discussions could already be taking place quietly behind the scenes. The interest makes perfect sense when you consider the profile of player that Detroit has consistently targeted under head coach Dan Campbell and general manager Brad Holmes. Tough, disciplined, relentless competitors who bring both physicality and high character to the locker room. Howard Cross fits that mold almost perfectly, making the speculation that he could eventually land in Detroit even more compelling as the Lions continue to build a roster capable of sustaining long-term success in the NFC. Cross's time at Notre Dame was defined by a steady and impressive rise, culminating in a senior season where he became one of the most disruptive interior linemen in college football. Despite being slightly undersized compared to traditional NFL nose tackles, Cross compensates with remarkable quickness off the snap, excellent hand usage, and an almost instinctual ability to read and anticipate plays. These traits are exactly what Detroit's coaching staff looks for, especially in a player who could rotate in and out of different sub-packages to keep the defensive front fresh and aggressive throughout games. Cross's motor never stops running, and that trait alone would endear him instantly to the Lions' defensive line room, a group already known for playing with a blue-collar mentality that mirrors the ethos of their head coach. It's not hard to imagine Cross finding an immediate and meaningful role in Detroit's defensive scheme, especially with the team's ongoing emphasis on building a unit that could dominate the trenches consistently. Adding a player like Howard Cross would not just be about statistics or splash plays. It would be about reinforcing a culture of toughness, accountability, and resilience. Cross carries himself with a maturity that belies his age, and his work ethic is often cited by coaches and teammates as one of the best within the Notre Dame program. For a Detroit team that has emphasized locker room chemistry and character just as much as raw talent during their rebuild, Cross would be an ideal addition. His versatility also cannot be overlooked. Although primarily used as a defensive tackle at Notre Dame, his skill set suggests he could be deployed in various ways depending on the matchup, as a gap-shooting 3 technique on passing downs or even shifting along the line to create mismatches against weaker interior blockers. This kind of flexibility would be invaluable to Aaron Glenn's defensive plans, allowing the Lions to disguise pressures and vary their looks without needing wholesale personnel changes. Another layer to consider is Cross's ability to grow alongside Detroit's existing young core. Players like Aiden Hutchinson, Ala McNeil, and others have established a foundation of youthful energy and explosiveness on defense, and integrating another dynamic, high-upside player like Cross into that group could amplify those strengths even further. Having a defensive unit that not only plays hard but also grows and evolves together over multiple seasons is rare in today's NFL, where roster turnover is constant. Cross's entry into that environment could spark new wrinkles in the Lions' defensive playbook, creating possibilities for stunts, twists, and hybrid looks that would keep opposing offenses constantly guessing. His high football IQ would allow him to pick up complex defensive schemes quickly, making the transition to the NFL smoother and allowing Detroit to maximize his potential sooner rather than later. Detroit's defensive line coach, who has earned high praise for developing talent and maximizing player potential, would likely view Cross as a high-ceiling project with immediate contributor potential. Working under a coach who understands how to accentuate a player's strengths while addressing developmental needs could take Cross's game to a level even his strongest supporters at Notre Dame have yet to see. It's reasonable to project that with the right coaching and mentorship, Cross could evolve from a rotational disruptor into a legitimate starter, even a Pro Bowl caliber player over the next few seasons. Teams that consistently compete for championships are built through savvy acquisitions like these, finding players who have both high floors and high ceilings and putting them in environments where they can thrive. Moreover, the Lions have shown a keen ability to identify players who might have been slightly overlooked by others due to non-traditional measurements or roles in college. Cross's slightly smaller frame compared to prototypical NFL defensive tackles could cause some teams to hesitate, but Detroit's front office and scouting department have demonstrated that they prioritize traits, production, and mentality over rigid measurables. This organizational philosophy could make Detroit the perfect landing spot for Cross, offering him a team that sees beyond the surface and recognizes the heart, effort, and skills that make him special. It would not be surprising to look back a few years from now and view a potential Cross signing as one of the defining moments of this Lions era, a quiet but critical move that helped anchor a defense capable of making deep playoff runs. Beyond the X's and O's, there's also the reality that Cross brings an intangible it factor that teams often spend years trying to cultivate internally. He is a natural leader, someone who leads by example and elevates the play of those around him. His presence would likely push veterans and rookies alike to elevate their own preparation and performance, creating a competitive environment that benefits the entire team. Detroit's leadership has made it clear that they are not just assembling a team to win games. They are building a foundation for sustained excellence, and players like Howard Cross represent the building blocks of that vision. His mentality, forged through the rigors of a prestigious program like Notre Dame, would mesh seamlessly with the gritty, no-nonsense culture that Detroit has embraced over the past few seasons. While it remains to be seen whether the Lions will make an official move for Cross, the dots connecting the two are difficult to ignore. Detroit has a clear need for additional depth and dynamism along the defensive line, and Cross brings a unique combination of athleticism, technique, and intangibles that align almost perfectly with the team's current trajectory. There's also a financial component to consider. Acquiring young, ascending talent like Cross on a rookie deal would offer tremendous value, allowing the Lions to allocate resources strategically across other areas of need. In a league increasingly defined by cap management and roster flexibility, moves like these often separate good teams from great ones. As speculation intensifies, it's worth noting that the Lions have shown a willingness to be aggressive when they identify a player who fits their system and culture. We have seen this front office move decisively in the past, whether through trades, draft maneuvers, or free agency signings, to secure players they believe will be integral to their mission. If the belief within Allen Park is that Howard Cross can be a difference maker, fans should not be surprised if Detroit acts quickly and assertively to bring him into the fold. Cross, for his part, has maintained a professional demeanor throughout the offseason, focusing on his preparation and letting the process play out. However, behind the scenes, there's little doubt that he and his representatives are aware of the interest, and one can only imagine the potential excitement at the idea of joining a team on the rise like the Lions. Adding Howard Cross would not just be a smart football move, it would also send a message to the rest of the league that Detroit is serious about building a defense that can go toe-to-toe with the elite offenses across the NFL. It would signify a commitment to investing in the trenches, recognizing that championships are often won not just by flashy skill players, but by the relentless work done in the dirty areas of the field. For a fan base that has long craved a winner, seeing the front office pursue a player like Cross would represent another sign that the organization is thinking strategically, building patiently but purposefully, and refusing to rest on the success of the previous season. Howard Cross may not be the biggest name available this offseason, but he could very well end up being one of the most impactful additions for a team that believes its best days are still ahead. Only time will tell whether Howard Cross ultimately becomes part of the Detroit Lions' future, but the fit is undeniable, the need is real, and the opportunity is right in front of them. If the Lions truly believe that he can help elevate their defense and embody the culture they have worked so hard to create, it would not be surprising at all to see Detroit make a strong push to land him. In a league where every roster decision can tip the scales between victory and defeat, the Lions may soon find themselves facing an opportunity they simply cannot afford to pass up.